Paris and to the Paris Air Show 1989. Now, this year's show promises to be bigger and better than ever, with near 1,600 aerospace companies exhibiting. And during its 10-day run, near 400,000 visitors are expected. Lots of things of special interest this year, including the Soviets' giant Antonov Tu-25 Mira with the Bruin orbiter perched on top. It is the big story here at Paris 89, as well as the Soviet MiG-29 fighters, which were first seen in Farnborough. They're here in Paris making their debut. But the Soviets have once again scooped the fighter world with the first appearance ever anywhere of their Su-27 flanker fighter bomber. Now, this new aircraft is near the size of our F-14 Tomcat, with the additional role of air-to-ground strike fighter thrown in. It's beautiful and it's awesome, and you're going to see it here for the first time ever. The SR-71 Blackbird makes its first European visit, and the first Mooney TBM 700 prototype will fly for you also. The EAP and the French Rafale continue to vie for the top new European fighter slot, with the Rafale well on its way towards formalization of multiple role mission types. All this and more in World Aviation Video Magazine's 1989 edition of the Paris Air Show Report. The Soviets' Sukhoi Su-26 gave a very impressive demonstration of its superb aerobatic qualities. Designed solely as an advanced aerobatic aircraft, the Su-26 has a roll rate well over 360 degrees per second, and it's powered by a 360 horsepower 9-cylinder radial engine. The pilot seat is mounted at a 45-degree angle to allow the pilot to stay conscious during maneuvers involving forces between plus 12 to minus 10 Gs. Another purely aerobatic aircraft is the Liviano, a Chilean-built two-seater. Of all composite construction, Liviano features a spacious cockpit with side-by-side seating and gull-wing doors to accommodate the taller-than-average pilot. The Pilon is a military trainer built by Air of Brazil. Another military trainer is the SA-32T. Designed by Ed Swearingen, this aircraft features a cruising speed of 260 knots and a total weight of just 2,000 pounds. Its low cost, combined with flight characteristics closely resembling that of a jet, have made the 32T a candidate for the United States Air Force primary trainer contract.
Sur premier contact.
Designed to compete against the Saab 340 and the de Havilland Dash 8, Dornier's new 30-passenger 228 is a commercial aircraft with a cruising speed of 345 knots. The Valmet seen here is a primary trainer built in Finland. French Aero's CAP 230 is an aerobatic craft of all-wood construction. It has won 2 gold medals in World Championship aerobatic competition and will more than likely take further honors in future contests.
originating in the distinguished Dornier seaplane tradition. Created by Claudius Dornier, continuing the grand flying boat design tradition established by his father, aviation pioneer Claude Dornier. The Sea Star is the logical further development of the historical Dornier family of flying boats. In 1984, the proof of concept aircraft successfully demonstrated the advanced technology incorporated in Sea Star. As long as there is a suitable body of water available, Sea Star doesn't need an airport. And that liberates you from the hassles of airspace congestion. Sea Star will let you fly and land anywhere.
The Canadair Challenger, seen here, offers the widest cabin in the corporate jet fleet. The airplane cruises at 0.83 Mach, and it has superb fuel efficiency, burning just about 1/2 of what a G4 will burn. Canadair Challenger is also in the process of being stretched for a regional airline commuter. The Brazilian Embraer Tucano that we see here is a primary turboprop trainer. This particular model is built by Embraer of Brazil, and it is in use by, among others, the Brazilian Smoke Squadron demonstration team. The airplane is also currently under consideration for adaptation by the French as a primary trainer. The newest member of the dynasty of Gulfstream luxury jetliners is the G4. Perhaps one of the most desired and expensive private aircraft extant, the G4, by most reckoning, has well earned the honors afforded to it. Economical operation, beautiful comfort, and continent-to-continent range make it the preferred aircraft of choice for corporations, companies, and even governments worldwide. The Argentine Pampa is a tandem two-seat jet trainer built by Fama with assistance from Dornier. The Pampa's design is based on the Dornier Dassault Alpha Jet trainer and attack aircraft. West Germany's MBB company produces the versatile fan trainer. The fan trainer is an aircraft which uses a piston engine to drive a ducted fan, giving it the flight characteristics of a jet with relatively low acquisition costs. MBB is also trying to market the aircraft for the light attack role. Another square engine design, this aircraft is employed in a wide range of uses under different designations. As a civil airliner, it is known as the Metro 3. To the U.S. military, it is a C-26A transport plane. Shown here is the Swedish Air Force's TP-88, which is a Metroliner fitted with a side-looking early warning radar array. The Pilatus is yet another single-seat training aircraft. The microjet is a French-built two-seat design that stretches the accepted ideas of the appropriate size for a jet-engined aircraft. But without acceptance from the military, recently its designers have changed their marketing to the private marketplace. However much in demand, the relatively high cost of this aircraft will probably preclude mass acceptance.
Déjà 170 appareils. Of at least equal importance with the flying displays at Paris are the pavilions. It is in these acres and acres of display space that the buyer and seller meet to make their deals. To even do a cursory walkthrough of the display pavilions, one must spend the better part of a day, but it's well worth it. You'll see the newest aerospace hardware from around the world and have the opportunity to have your questions answered by the experts. One of the companies we talked to in the pavilions was Therametics.
The nightmare of terrorism has dramatically tightened security at airports, embassies, and government installations around the globe. Until now, security systems have been unable to provide effective protection against terrorist bombs. X-ray machines currently in use at airports cannot detect today's sophisticated explosives. Aegis, technology's response to worldwide terrorism. A system which detects all explosives, including the plastics used by terrorists. Screening for explosives with Aegis is a simple process. The object is scanned and an air sample drawn in. Aegis is then connected to the analysis unit and the Analyze button is pressed. In less than 20 seconds, if no explosives are found, the console displays a clear signal and Aegis resets for the next cycle. If even a minute amount of explosive material is present, the display console alarm light trips and indicates the type of explosive. It is the nitrogen base common to all explosives which Aegis identifies. The portable Aegis can screen any object at any location, whether checked baggage, carry-on baggage, or a suspicious item. Because Aegis draws in air samples and emits no radiation, it is completely safe for luggage and passengers. Thermetics has also developed a prototype walk-in passenger screening device for the United States Federal Aviation Administration. Technology similar to Aegis samples the air around a passenger. As the screening device determines whether any explosive material is present, a conventional metal detector, also built into the booth, scans the passenger at the same time.
As we've just had a chance to see, the days of terrorism and plastic bombs may soon be numbered. We're here with Dr. David Fine, who is a vice president with the Aegis division of Thermetics. So in 1990, we can rather expect the benefits of Aegis to be felt worldwide.
In 1990, when you board an aircraft, you may begin to see this equipment appearing for searching the luggage, for a bomb threat on the plane, or carry-on luggage for many applications.
Anything else you'd like to tell the viewers, David, before we go?
One other point of interest is the same technology can be used for narcotics, cocaine and heroin. The equipment is slightly different, but you will also be seeing next year luggage being screened, people being screened. If it comes up positive, they're going to have a problem because it means they got narcotics in their baggage.
That's really going to, I would think, cut down tremendously on the bulk importation of these substances.
We're assuming that's going to be a big dent in the war on drugs.
Fantastic. Thank you, David Fine. World Aviation Video Magazine's Paris 89.
Thank you.
A vision of the future. Wings that sweep forward. Stronger but lighter than steel. They are made of graphite epoxy. The X-29 research aircraft, with its onboard computers managing flight stability. It's a vision becoming reality, pioneered by NASA. Another vision of the future, the XV-15 tilt rotor. The speed of a turboprop, the versatility of a helicopter, quieter than either. The best of both worlds. A vision becoming reality, pioneered by NASA. Across the spectrum of aeronautics, NASA research enhances the quality, efficiency, and safety of flight. NASA puts the most powerful tools at the service of the best minds in flight research. How will a new aircraft design perform? NASA has the tools to find the answer with the largest array of wind tunnels in the world. How will air flow inside a new engine or over a new wing shape? NASA has pioneered a whole new field called computational fluid dynamics. Supercomputer displays to explore and refine designs with flexibility never before possible. Complex questions yielding fascinating insights. And with these tools, NASA scientists and engineers envision a bold new future, the National Aerospace Plane. It will blaze a trail of advancements throughout the field of aviation. Flying from conventional airports to space in one step, its scramjets and rocket engines burning fuel with oxygen gathered from the air, saving weight and cost. Its load-carrying efficiency bringing astronauts and equipment to space station and satellites to Earth orbit, making space flights quicker and easier to launch, safer and less costly to fly. The National Aerospace Plane will revolutionize space travel in the 21st century. Visions of the future from NASA.
Arianespace continues to be one of the big success stories here at Paris. Arianespace recently has scooped up no less than 68% of the available satellite launch business worldwide. Now, with the United States' recent boycott with China, as far as launch vehicles go, and of course with our shuttle failure of a few years back, this has given Arianespace an unprecedented opportunity which they have taken tremendous advantage of. They have successfully launched 22 satellites in the last 21 months alone. Now let's take a closer look at Arianespace. World Aviation Video Magazine's Paris 89.
Arianespace, the first commercial and industrial space transportation company in the world, was incorporated on March 26, 1980, as a direct result of the political aspirations and scientific and technical capabilities of a group of European countries. The launcher was developed by CNES, the French National Space Research Authority, on behalf of the European Space Agency. Arianespace, authorized capital 270 million French francs. Head office, Évry, France. A launch complex near the equator in Kourou, French Guiana. Arianespace Incorporated, the US subsidiary in Washington, D.C. A branch office in Tokyo, Japan. And a reinsurance subsidiary, S3R, for worldwide cover. Arianespace finances and manages the production of commercial Ariane launch vehicles, markets Ariane launch services, and has overall control of launch operations. The constant objective, to maintain a 50% share of the Western world's commercial satellite launch market.
Less than a month before launch, Ariane, without its upper composite, is transferred from the assembly dock to the launch zone just 1,000 meters away. Thanks to 2 separate work zones, the Ariane launch site, known as ELA-2, can handle up to 10 launches a year. More powerful than its predecessors, Ariane 4 is a modular design rocket with 6 different versions capable of launching 1, 2, or 3 satellites. It could launch payloads ranging from 1.9 to 4.2 tons into geostationary transfer orbit at an apogee of 36,000 kilometers, or over 6 tons into sun-synchronous orbit. H0 minus 3 hours 30 minutes.
bien, je t'écoute. On peut y aller pour L800. Affirmatif.
The third stage is filled with liquid hydrogen and oxygen. The satellites are ready.
3, 2, 1.
H0, the 6 first stage Viking engines are ignited, providing a thrust of 4,050 kilonewtons. H0 plus 3.5 seconds. The 2 solid propellant boosters are ignited for an additional 1,300 kilonewtons thrust. In all, 5,350 kilonewtons of thrust moving Ariane into space.
Fokker of the Netherlands displayed some of their recent developments in the field of civilian passenger aircraft with the turboprop-powered F-50 and the fan-jet-powered F-100. The F-100 is capable of seating over 100 passengers, and its exceptionally quiet engines make it one of the most neighbor-friendly airplanes in existence. Several U.S. airlines will be using the F-100 in the near future, as well as worldwide service. Aerospatiale is one of France's most prominent aircraft manufacturers. They showed a number of their latest helicopters at the Paris Air Show. Both civilian and military models were demonstrated, and spectators were treated to a dazzling performance of aerobatic maneuvers considered all but impossible for rotary-wing aircraft until recent years. The sleek TBM 700 is the product of a joint French-United States manufacturing combine. The aircraft made its flying debut this year at Paris. The TBM 700 is a 6-seat executive aircraft boasting a cruising speed of over 300 knots and operational altitudes of 30,000 feet. It's considered among the easiest aircraft of its size to fly, and the TBM 700 is expected to do very well in its specific market. The Pitts S-2 biplane is a superb aerobatic machine, which has been called the world's most desirable private aircraft. The Aerospatiale Omega is a turboprop-powered training aircraft with excellent performance and handling characteristics, and featuring, among other state-of-the-art technologies, an ejection seat. The 74-passenger ATR-72 is the result of a collaboration between Aerospatiale and Italy's Aeritalia. It will enjoy wide use by a number of countries around the world, including the USA. The A320 by Airbus of France has their new generation of commercial airliners. Taking full advantage of the latest developments in fly-by-wire avionics, economical operation, and wide-body passenger comfort, seating over 295 passengers. Its fly-by-wire design reduces crew fatigue while increasing safety of operation. Although the controversy about the French government's subsidy of Airbus continues to this day, there is no question that their newest models will continue to be major players in the commercial sales race of the 90s. Franco-German combine formed by Dassault Breguet and Dornier proudly demonstrated the enduring Alpha Jet. The Alpha Jet is a two-place trainer and attack aircraft that still remains viable in the 90s. In the military version, the Alpha is fitted with cannon armament, and beneath the wings are hardpoints capable of carrying a variety of ordnance, including missiles, bombs, and rocket pods. Dassault displayed the latest versions of the combat-proven Mirage fighter. Long a mainstay of the Dassault Corporation, the Mirage and its various variants offer a versatile aircraft with an excellent platform for a wide range of weaponry, both conventional and nuclear. During its operational career, the Mirage has undergone continual modifications to its hardware and avionics, and the export versions of this formidable air weapon are used by air arms throughout the world. The newest thoroughbred in the Dassault stable of military aircraft is the Rafale, an all-weather, multi-role, high-performance fighter bomber. Making its maiden flight in 1986, the Rafale boasts a speed in excess of Mach 2, combined with STOL capability, allowing it to be operated from austere forward airfields if need be. Its rugged construction makes use of new materials such as carbon fiber reinforced plastics, Kevlar, and aluminum lithium compounds. These provide the Rafale with high survivability in a hostile air environment and reduced radar and infrared signatures. Armed with both air-to-air and air-to-ground missiles, the Rafale can engage multiple targets simultaneously. Carrier-borne and export versions are under current development, and the Rafale seems destined to leave its mark on the designs of fighter aircraft of the upcoming decade. The Czechoslovakian Let 610 is a short-haul transport ship designed to make use of rough landing strips. In fact, the performance statistics the Let was designed to meet are similar to the U.S. military's requirements for the DC-3 half a century ago, making this Czech aircraft suitable for medevac, photo, and training duties, as well as light cargo in remote strips. The Soviet airline Aeroflot has ordered 600 of these durable workhorses, and other countries are expected to follow suit. At Paris '89, the Western world got its very first glimpse of the USSR's newest combat helicopter, the Mi-28 Havoc. The Havoc is the successor to the Mi-24 Hind gunship. The exact performance details, of course, are not available, but from what we saw, the Havoc is smaller and more lightly built than its forerunners, although fitted with the same type engines. No doubt this is going to give it an increased speed and power and maneuverability. Whatever fire control systems and optics are used by the Havoc are now open to speculation, but the nose-mounted radome is clearly prominent. In addition to a 30mm cannon mounted beneath the chin, the Mi-28 carries anti-tank missiles, rocket pods, and similar weapons as required. The Harrier is still the free world's only operational VSTOL jet aircraft. The British Hawker Harrier made an appearance at Paris, performing yet another of the impressive demonstrations that it is justly famous for. Variants of the Harrier are in use worldwide, including the U.S. Marines and the Spanish Navy. The Hawk is British Aerospace's contribution to the world market for multi-role jet trainer light strike aircraft. Capable of transonic speeds, the Hawk is employed variously as an advanced trainer and a low-level ground attack plane. The version now being built in conjunction with McDonnell Douglas is the T-45A Naval Strike Trainer, known as the Goshawk. The Goshawk's service with the U.S. Navy is projected to reach operational status sometime in 1991. British Aerospace's BAE-146 is produced in both a civilian and military model. It's a transport ship able to lift weights similar to that of the C-130 Hercules, despite a smaller internal volume. Its side-loading door makes it relatively easy to move cargo in and out, as well as facilitating paradrop operations. The 146's reputation as the world's quietest jetliner has earned it the name of the Quiet Trader, and it is ideally suited to night cargo duties over densely populated areas. The Soviet Aviation IL-96 is a 300-seat passenger liner that has to be considered on an equal footing with the best commercial aircraft of the Western world. The IL-96 is a state-of-the-art machine, powered by economical high-bypass turbofans and equipped with up-to-date instrumentation, including CRT displays. If the Soviets can jump the hurdle of Western certification, it looks as though Douglas, Boeing, and Dassault will all have a major new competitor in the East. The Spanish-built Casa C-212 is a luxuriously appointed civil transport capable of STOL operations. Currently, in concert with Fairchild, Casa is in process of submitting a maritime patrol version of the aircraft to the U.S. military.
Without doubt, the biggest story at Paris 89 is the Antonov 225. Without doubt, it's the biggest story in aviation of the decade. The airplane is based largely on AN-124 components. The AN-225 carries the AN-124 wing. The 225 has a whole new center section, and from each center section is a third engine, making a total of 6 power plants. I'll give you an idea of the gross on this airplane at this time, and the figure is kind of unbelievable, but it's true. The airplane is capable of grossing well over 1,300,000 pounds. The tail section on the 225 is also brand new. Split rudders, of course, to continue to give it directional stability with various cargo loads on top. You can see all the various type of hard points here that have been added to the 225, and this is to accommodate a total right now of over 20 external load missions that this aircraft has planned for it at this point. Their space shuttle being just one of them. We have an additional 2 rear trucks that have been added here, and now all 3 of the rear trucks are all steerable. Now, of course, the photos here of the 225 don't do it justice. The massive size of this airplane and its girth are just really hard to show you in pictures. There is no one that can gaze upon this airplane and not be in pure awe and pure wonderment. The space shuttle that we're looking at, perched upon the top of the AN-225, is an actual space shuttle. It's not a mock-up. This particular shuttle has already been in space, and it was the shuttle that the Russians used initially for their very first launch test and their very first pressurization and return test on the spacecraft. And the word from here is that the test went extremely successfully. 2 more are planned unmanned, and then the 4th launch of this particular shuttle should be expected to carry a manned crew. This is the only 225 example extant in the world today. However, initially as many as 3 or 4 more are planned to be built, with an eventual production run of well over 20 just for the Soviet Union's own use. Of course, the Antonov Bureau is also highly desirous of making sales of this airplane throughout the world. We're now aboard the flight deck of the AN-225, and we're here with the flight navigator, Alexander Rotax. Did I say that right?
No. Navigator will be test flight navigator from a factory in Toronto. I am a flight navigator leader from Moscow.
Tell us, what is a normal crew complement on the airplane?
Normally crew 6 persons. 2 pilots, 2 flight engineer, flight navigator, and radio operator.
Now, when you normally aboard this aircraft, you carry 3 INS systems?
Yeah, INS system and longer range Omega, Russian Omega.
A Russian Omega, yes. Same feature.
Same Omega, yeah.
Alexander, this cabin looks very much like a 124. Can you comment on that for us?
Same cabin, Antonov 124, only biggest, but 2 engines more.
2 more engines.
Yeah.
Right. What else would you personally like to say about the airplane? Do you have a feeling for the airplane? Is this a special airplane for you?
It's especially, and only one.
Well, Alexander, thank you very much for your hospitality.
Not at all. Not at all.
And it's a fantastic and a marvelous airplane, and we wish you very much success with it in the world market.
Thank you. Good. Thank you.
Paris, 89, World Aviation Video Magazines. We're here with Michel Villon in the Aerospatiale Space Pavilion. Good afternoon, Michel.
Good afternoon.
Why is the European Space Agency and Aerospatiale in its participation, shall we say, trying to reinvent the wheel with the American shuttle already available and the Soviet shuttle now beginning to fly? Why Hermes and why Columbus?
We're saying that Europe needs to have its proper autonomy, and that is the reason why we want to do a station of our proper, in our proper business.
Update us, if you will, on how far along is Columbus now?
Columbus is foreseen at the end of the century. That means that we have to go through the turn of the century, and if we want to obtain the European autonomy, we have to focus on a station around 2005 or 2010.
With Columbus going up, of course, I think we're waiting for the Ariane 5, yes?
Yes, we are waiting for Ariane 5, because with Ariane 5 we launched the platform of Columbus, and we launched the MTFF of Columbus, and we launched also the Hermes. And with Hermes we hope to visit the International Space Station.
Tell us about Hermes.
Hermes is a kind of shuttle without the propulsion system, in fact. But Hermes is foreseen with a crew of 3, and Hermes is foreseen for 1998 for his first automatic flight, and for his first manned flight in 1999.
Michel, is there anything else you'd like to tell our viewers before we go about the European space program?
We are well started. We are well started because at the time we have 3 major programs. I mean, the launcher, the first station with the participation with the United States with Columbus, and another major technological gap, which is the Hermes program. We're saying that at the turn of the century, Europe will have reached his maturity.
Michel, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate the talk.
Okay.
And we'll look forward to seeing you in 91.
Yes.
Paris Air Show, 89, World Aviation Video Magazines.
For many decades, MBB has excelled at combining economically viable solutions for weapons systems with optimum cost effectiveness. The missile systems developed in bilateral Franco-German cooperative programs by MBB and Aerospatiale have been accorded international recognition. Their names: Milan, Hot, and Roland. The Milan, a lightweight, highly mobile anti-tank missile, is semi-automatically guided over a range of 2,000 meters to its target. The launch tube serves both as storage and transport container. Milan can also be fired from vehicles. The missile has high hit accuracy and is armed with a shaped charge warhead. The mirror thermal imager makes the Milan fully operational even at night. Hot is a versatile anti-tank weapon with a 4,000-meter range. It is fired from tanks, light vehicles, and helicopters. The Jaguar 1 tank destroyer features a fully automatic launch system built by MBB. Hot is also a standard weapon on the PAH-1 anti-tank helicopter, a modified BO-105 with a stabilized sight. Their payload capacity and maneuverability make both the BO-105 and the BK-117 ideal weapon platforms. In cooperation with France and Great Britain, MBB is developing a 3rd generation of anti-tank guided missiles. New launching systems, such as elevatable platforms, are being studied. PARM, an anti-tank off-road mine developed by MBB, provides a new type of mine barrier. A fiber optic guide is first laid in the firing path. If the guide is run over, PARM automatically launches a shaped charge warhead at the target. Roland, a joint development of MBB and Aerospatiale and Euromissile, is a highly mobile autonomous system for defense against low-flying aircraft. It is designed for all-weather operation above gun range and is fired from tracked vehicles, shelters, or wheeled vehicles. This version is also used for defending the airfields of the West German Air Force and Navy and United States NATO forces in Germany. Targets can be detected and identified even while the vehicle is on the move. The supersonic missile is optically or radar guided. The hit probability is 95%. Analyses and studies have shown that a high-energy laser as a tactical air defense system could be a valuable supplement to missiles and guns, especially for multi-target engagements. Together with Diehl, MBB is engaged in intensive developmental work on key components such as the gas dynamic CO2 laser. The MW-1 area weapon is a standard armament on the German and Italian Tornadoes. A large number of different submunitions are released with great precision from containers onto an area that can be precisely defined in shape and size. Typical targets are tank units or airfields. The MDS modular dispenser system is smaller than the MW-1. Its size and weight can be adapted to virtually any aircraft type, and it uses the same submunitions as the MW-1. Firing before the target is reached permits the use of standoff systems outside the range of enemy air defenses. The Cormoran anti-ship missile is launched outside the range of an enemy ship's defenses. It can disable ships up to the size of destroyers. MBB is developing a family of unmanned remote-controlled vehicles for real-time reconnaissance and autonomous engagement of targets. Computer-generated image systems built by MBB are essential elements of simulators for training tank and aircraft crews. A computer generates a realistic image of the battlefield scenario.
We're here with Bruce Betscharts, CTA's president. They're out of Irvine, California, and we're here with a combat tactics trainer. Tell us a little bit about this machine, please.
Okay, what it is, it's a complete dynamic simulation of a tactical aircraft where a pilot or flight crew could come in and get his avionics, his weapons, and his countermeasure systems training in a dynamic environment. Currently we have showing an F-18 simulation, an F-18 cockpit with its radars and MFD displays showing.
And you're in the middle of a battle right now.
That's correct. What we have is on the out the window we have a MiG-29 locked up on our radar. On the heads-up display you can see the box, the square box showing the radar locked on the target. So the target appears in the box. It's too far away to see visually now. It's out there at about 12 miles away. So now I can attack the aircraft. I could go after him manually and get into a dogfight with him, or I could continue on my mission and let him fly by. So what I'll do is I'll continue my engagement, shoot the weapon, and he'll be shooting back at me, and I may or may not select another weapon to fire at him.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, the weapon is going out to impact, and now the computer's calculated that I could fire another weapon while the first one is still flying out. I'm out of those types of missiles. Now I switch to a short-range missile, which is an AIM-9 Lima, and try to engage him with a short-range missile. The explosion you see out there is the aircraft that was hit by the missile.
What's this system going to cost, folks?
Okay, the current configuration that you see with the head-up and the head-down configuration with a projector system is around $250,000.
And current users are?
Okay, both services, any service that has aircrew training could use this thing. So the Navy, certainly the Marine Corps, Army helicopters, as well as the Air Force.
So you can configure for basically all of our arsenal, and how about the potential enemy aircraft?
That's correct. We could take this system, and as an example, I'll go ahead and bring a MiG-29 cockpit up. This is a MiG-29 cockpit, and now I could fly as a MiG-29. So I could get training seeing how good MiG-29 radars are, how good their warning receivers and so forth. So it's kind of like a reverse training to see what they have, so I maybe improve my training.
The Soviets' Su-27 flanker interceptor took the Paris Air Show by surprise. No one knew it was coming, and when we saw it for the first time, frankly, we were all very much in awe. The Su-27, probably better than anything else, hammered home just exactly how advanced the Soviet aircraft industry had become. You had to be there to see it. You had to be there to hear it. You had to be there to feel the power and the maneuverability and the potential in this aircraft. The only word to describe it is absolutely awesome. Although some things are unknown about the aircraft, specifically how good its electronics really are. Being designed around a 4-foot radar dish, the Soviet electronics don't have to be too much behind ours for this aircraft to have absolutely immense capabilities in the search of hostile incoming aircraft. Avia water bomber gives us a very impressive and colorful display of its firebombing prowess. The Mistral Ultralight is built by Aviation of France. Its tractor propeller is powered by a 50 horsepower engine.
Has a cruising speed of 245 knots and the range with maximum payload of...
Zlin of Czechoslovakia displayed 2 of their aircraft. The 42 is a low-wing 2-seat trainer, and the 50 is one of the world's top-performing acro designs. The Husky is built by Wyoming-based Christian Industries, and it is a no-frills utility plane. A major user of the Husky is the United States Border Patrol. The unconventionally designed, but absolutely beautiful Piaggio Avanti is a twin turboprop pusher business aircraft. The Avanti has met or exceeded its design cruising speed of 400 knots and its design cruising altitude of 41,000 feet. The Sukhoi Su-25 has the reputation of being the most reliable aircraft in the whole of the Soviet Air Force. Given the NATO codename of Frogfoot, the Su-25 is a relatively small, two-seat subsonic jet. Three basic versions exist. The one displayed at Paris being the weapons and conversion trainer. Its other and perhaps more important variant is in the role of close support attack aircraft, similar in purpose to the Fairchild A-10 Thunderbolt II. In this form, the Su-25 is armed with a nose-mounted, twin-barrel, 30mm cannon and a selection of bombs, rockets, and Scud pods on 10 underwing pylons. The Frogfoot has seen extensive combat in Afghanistan, where it was shown to be a robust and damage-resistant design. Another variation is a carrier-based model serving with the Soviet Navy.
Présentation à l'atterrissage. Ce chasseur de supériorité aérienne à longue distance de Sukhoi Su-27.
The Italian-Brazilian AMX is really a dedicated attack aircraft intended for ground-hugging combat operations. However, it can carry air-to-air missiles for defense. Purposely designed without an afterburner in order to reduce the infrared signature, the AMX incorporates this very sophisticated weapons aiming system, giving it single-pass capability. The McDonnell Douglas F-18 Hornet is a multi-role carrier-borne first-line fighter. With speed of Mach 1.8, the F-18 is truly a force to be reckoned with among the arsenal of the Western world. Currently in development are ground attack variants that will expand the mission capabilities of this exceptional aircraft. General Dynamics F-16 Fighting Falcon is now a fully proven worldwide performer. The F-16 offers unsurpassed maneuverability, reliability, and a choice of offensive and defensive weaponry. The newest designs that the world has to offer can hope for only very marginal improvement over this very proven performer. The Soviets' MiG-29 Fulcrum made its second appearance for the West at the Paris '89 Air Show. Of course, the version that we're going to see completing the full flight demo will be the two-seat version. The reason being, of course, the very infamous crash of the single-seat version very early on in the show. The MiG-29 is a fighter in the truest sense of the word. We can best equate it in size with the F-18. regarding the crash, of course, the final decision is still out as to why the aircraft lost one engine. There's a better than 50-50 chance that the aircraft did ingest a bird. Now we're going to take a look at the crash of the Soviets' MiG-29 in slow motion. The first thing we're going to see is the flame shooting out of the back of the right engine. Now the pilot immediately spools up the left engine and begins to lower the nose in an attempt to gain or keep flying speed and directional stability. You see the full rudder coming in, the nose is lowering, it's still not happening. Now that the aircraft is definitely lost and definitely not going to go into the crowd, the pilot waits until the very final second and hits the ejection seat.
Ta clope! Ça s'écrase dans le dos et puis là tu te fais comme ça.
The pilot of the MiG-29 was charmed indeed, not only living through his low-altitude ejection, but coming through it virtually unscathed. The very next day, he appeared at a press conference at which he showed only a black eye from his experience. He could not say enough good things, and rightfully so, about the ejection system that saved his life.
Very glad to see you here in this largest aircraft.
It can carry air-to-air missiles, and it can also be...
We're here with Captain Steve Forsyth, who's with the Canadian contingent in the F-18 Hornet. Good afternoon, Steve.
Good afternoon.
We're here to talk to you about the big questions here at Paris, the MiG-29 and the Sukhoi 27. You've had a chance to look at both airplanes now and see both airplanes perform. Let's take them one at a time. MiG-29.
Well, I sat in it yesterday, and the cockpit itself is not what I consider as modern as the F-18 or the later version Western fighters. But when you see it flying, it's the equal. It does a lot of things that are very interesting. Some things that we haven't seen in the Western world for maneuvers.
What's your opinion on them?
I'd say, without seeing the actual the weapon systems that are involved with just what we've seen here, they're equal to the fighters that we have in the West.
Okay, let's talk about the MiG-29 accident for just a moment. Let's put you in that scenario. High alpha, real slow, low to the ground, you lose one engine. What's going to happen?
Okay, we do all the air show demonstrations in the simulator and give basically every possible emergency that you can have. If you do have one engine failure at that critical time, there is enough altitude buffer in there to do the things required to not hit the ground and actually make it through. It's never actually happened, so hopefully it'd work. But two engine failures or other combined, if you have a really bad day, then maybe there's just nothing you can do that day. So
hit the silk.
That's right.
Okay, now we just watched the Sukhoi 27 fly. What are your feelings on that ship?
Okay, I'm very impressed. Flying performance is exceptional. A couple of the maneuvers have not been seen in the Western world. I don't know quite if they have a tactical advantage, but they sure are impressive regardless. I think it says a lot for the flight control system and the general airplane performance.
Awful lot of food for thought there, huh?
Yeah, that's for sure. The engines, if you see his takeoff roll, is very short, very impressive, lots of thrust there.
What do you think of this, Steve?
It's pretty amazing. He has the Cobra maneuver, which I think he's a little bit later on in the show, depending on which pilot's actually doing it. And that's something I've never seen before.
Nobody else has either.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how he does it, but it's pretty amazing.
An airplane just shouldn't ought to do that, should it?
I don't think so. Maybe it just does it once normally, and that would be it. But it's quite impressive. Well, in the Su-27, it appears to be a similar cockpit to the F-15A. It's not digital, but it's got generally everything just displayed in an analog format that any Western fighter would have. It's very modern. It has the standard navigation equipment, the radar, plus they have an IRSTS, an infrared search and track system, which aren't on Western fighters, or at least most Western fighters. So how that works and the actual application of that, I'm not sure. But they have a lot of systems, and I'm sure it's a very powerful airplane.
Internal range seems to be pretty spectacular also.
Yes, I don't know how many hops they flew over from the Soviet Union, but I don't think it was very many. It was 1 or 2 at the most, so the range is a very impressive part of that airplane.
What is your feeling as far as an answer to the kind of threat that you see out here now in the 29 and the 27?
Well, there's a lot of other variables in the equation, tactics, the number of hours that the pilots fly every year. Just straight on an airplane basis, I'd say now we're pretty equal these days. It's hard to tell just in an aerial demonstration like this, because the weapon systems are a big player if you're going to actually fight one of those airplanes. But I'd say from what I've seen here, we're pretty even these days.
Now, this leads me to think at least that stealth may have more purpose than ever.
Yes, the new advances in airplanes as they keep going on will tell the next generation exactly what the differences are going to be. So right now I'm happy with the airplanes that we're flying, and the new ones, I don't know what's going to be there, but I'm certainly looking forward to it. In the Western world now, in the Soviet Union, the airplanes are relatively equal, but I'd still like to fly my F-18, and I think it's the best airplane in the world.
Amen. Thank you, Steve Forsyth.
You're welcome.
Paris, 89. World Aviation Video Magazines.
The only aircraft that truly kept the Paris 89 air show from being subtitled the Soviets' Paris 89 air show was the Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird, still the swiftest and the highest flying air-breathing aircraft on Earth. Possessing a top cruising speed of more than Mach 3.25, the SR-71 is literally faster than a speeding bullet. Although still classified, the dash speed of the SR-71, limited only by temperature incidentally, is probably near or in excess of Mach 4. Although the SR-71 Blackbird operates daily at altitudes of 85,000 feet, one can rest assured that it can go higher. The Blackbird holds the world's speed records for transatlantic crossings, making the hop from New York to London in just over 80 minutes. And it holds virtually every time to climb and closed course speed record that it has sought to take. Although the SR-71 design is well over 20 years old, originating out of the Lockheed Skunk Works and headed by Kelly Johnson, the aircraft still, to this day, holds mystique worldwide. It really was the only aircraft that took away some of the thunder from the great new Soviet machines that were on exhibit at Paris '89. We at World Aviation hope you have enjoyed your 2-hour visit with us to Paris, and we invite you back for the upcoming 1991 edition of the world's most important air show.